Attempts have been made in Germany to build a system of philosophy on the basis that the infinite has become the finite. Such attempts are also made in England. And the analysis of the position of these philosophers is this: that the infinite is trying to express itself in this universe, and that there will come a time when the infinite will succeed in doing so. It is all very well, and we have to use the words infinite and manifestation and expression and so on. But philosophers naturally ask for a logical, fundamental basis for the statement that the finite can fully express the infinite. The absolute and the infinite can become this universe only by limitation. Everything must be limited that comes through the senses, or through the mind, or through the intellect. And for the limited to be the unlimited is simply absurd. Absurd. Everything must be limited that comes through the senses, or through the mind, or through the intellect. And for the limited to be the unlimited is simply absurd and can never be. The Vedanta, on the other hand, says that it is true that the absolute or the infinite is trying to express itself in the finite, but there will come a time when it will find that it is impossible, and it will then have to beat a retreat. And this beating a retreat means renunciation, which is the real beginning of religion. Nowadays, it is very hard even to talk of renunciation. It was said of me in America that I was a man who came out of a land that had been dead and buried for 5,000 years, and talked of renunciation. So says, perhaps, the English philosopher. Yet it is true that that is the only path to religion. Renounce and give up. What did Christ say? He that loses his life for my sake shall find it. Again and again did he preach renunciation as the only way to perfection. There comes a time when the mind awakens from this long and dreary dream. There comes a time when this mind awakes from this long and dreary dream. The child gives up its play and wants to go back to its mother. It finds the truth of the statement, desire is never satisfied by the enjoyment of desires. It only increases the more, as fire when butter is poured upon it. This is true of all sense enjoyments, of all intellectual enjoyments, and of all the enjoyments of which the human mind is capable. They are nothing. They are within Maya, within this network beyond which we cannot go. We may run therein through infinite time and find no end. And whenever we struggle to get a little enjoyment, a mass of misery falls upon us. How awful is this? And when I think of it, I cannot but consider that this theory of Maya, this statement that it is all Maya, is the best and only explanation. What an amount of misery there is in this world! And if you travel among various nations, you will find that one nation attempts to cure its evils by one means, and another by another. The very same evil has been taken up by various races, and attempts have been made in various ways to check it. Yet no nation has succeeded. If it has been minimized at one point, a mass of evil has been crowded at another point. Thus it goes. The Hindus, to keep up a high standard of chastity in the race, have sanctioned child marriage, which in the long run has degraded the race. At the same time, I cannot deny that this child marriage makes the race more chaste. What will you have? If you want the nation to be more chaste, you weaken men and women physically by child marriage. On the other hand, are you in England any better off? No, because chastity is the life of a nation. Do you not find in history that the first death sign of a nation has been unchastity? When that has entered, the end of the race is in sight. Where shall we get the solution of these miseries then? If parents select husbands and wives for their children, then this evil is minimized. The daughters of India are more practical than sentimental, but very little of poetry remains in their lives. Again, if people select their own husbands and wives, that does not seem to bring much happiness. The Indian woman is generally very happy. There are not many cases of quarreling between husband and wife. On the other hand, in the United States, where the greatest liberty obtains, the number of unhappy homes and marriages is large. Unhappiness is here, there, and everywhere. What does it show? That, after all, not much happiness has been gained by all these ideals. We all struggle for happiness, and as soon as we get a little happiness on one side, on the other side, there comes unhappiness. Shall we not work to do good then? Yes, with more zest than ever. But what this knowledge will do for us is to break down our fanatism. Shall we not work to do good then? Yes, with more zest than ever. But what this knowledge will do for us is to break down our fanaticism. The Englishman will no more be a fanatic and curse the Hindu. He will learn to respect the customs of different nations. There will be less of fanaticism and more of real work. Fanatics cannot work. They waste 3/4 of their energy. It is the level-headed, calm, practical man who works. So, the power to work will increase from this idea. Knowing that this is the state of things, there will be more patience. The sight of misery or of evil will not be able to throw us off our balance and make us run after shadows. Therefore, patience will come to us, knowing that the world will have to go on in its own way. If, for instance, all men have become good, the animals will have in the meantime evolved into men, and will have to pass through the same state, and so with the plants. But only one thing is certain. The mighty river is rushing towards the ocean, and all the drops that constitute the stream will in time be drawn into that boundless ocean. So, in this life, with all its miseries and sorrows, its joys and smiles and tears, one thing is certain: that all things are rushing towards their goal, and it is only a question of time when you and I, and plants and animals, and every particle of life that exists must reach the infinite ocean of perfection, must attain to freedom, to God.